absolutely thrilled that a pacifist vegan would be invited to the Veterans Administration, because I'm a pacifist vegan who cares very, very much about veterans. And I thank Duragio and everybody for having me and having the National Center for Transgender Equality here today. And I obviously need to also take a moment to thank the VA for the wonderful directive that was issued just a little more than a week ago, which will allow transgender veterans to access health care at VA facilities without concern for whether or not they will be treated fairly. The policy explicitly talks about the need to treat all veterans respectfully, including trans vets. It talks about how veterans can change their records. It really clarifies what transition-related care is and is not covered. We have a little more work to bring some of the not covered things over to the covered list, but for right now, this is a really amazing policy, and we are already hearing from veterans all across the country that they are taking the directive into their VAs, and they're getting they're getting service that they couldn't get before. Now, I should say that, as Alex mentioned earlier, the VA has been better on transgender stuff than transgender people and transgender policies than a lot of other federal agencies all along. And the problem we've had with the VA health system over the last 10 years or so has not been that it has been overwhelmingly bad for transgender veterans. It's that it's been inconsistent. And a transgender veteran could go into X VA facility and be treated very, very well. But then move to the VA next door and be treated very, very badly, or somewhere in the middle. And we're very hopeful that the directive and the education that will happen around the directive will even that out and really help people get health care. But I do want to bring a message to you that we are hearing from veterans everywhere that they are able to access health care better than they could just a few weeks ago. It is really an amazing thing. It is really saving people's lives. And so I thank the VA for that. I also just want to thank everybody who's here and everybody who's watching who really does anything to help veterans who have served us and need service, deserve service, and have earned service from all of us. And so thank you all for everything you do for veterans every day. And transgender people, by the way, are veterans. In a study our organization, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, conducted, we found, in a survey of 6,500 transgender people, we found that 20% of our adults were veterans, which is about twice the national average. It's always been anecdotally understood that trans people were disproportionately likely to serve in the military, which, as many of you know, is and will continue to be disallowed, even once Don't Ask, Don't Tell is repealed. And believe me, you're going to hear about that in just a second. But transgender people are serving in the military. They're more and more starting to serve openly, which is against the rules. But we are setting ourselves up to go through exactly what we've gone through with Don't Ask, Don't Tell over the next 10 or 15 years. And again, I'll get back to that in a moment. But trans people are serving. They are serving honorably. They are serving well. And when they get out, they may disproportionately, because of the other discrimination that they face for being transgender, and the discrimination they face for being veterans, and the discrimination they may face because of racism and other intersecting oppressions, they may need services more than other veterans. We'll see that as time goes on and we can quantify it a little bit better. And again, the VA has been very good about that compared to many other agencies, has been at the vanguard, and the recent directive makes that even more true. But we need to continue our service to our veterans, and I thank everybody for the service they've done. I would be remiss as a pacifist for me not to say that, remember, the most important thing we can do to serve our veterans is to limit war, and to only commit our service people to just wars. And we as Americans need to remember that it is our responsibility, whether we work for the VA or the DoD or a nonprofit organization, or if we're unemployed. All Americans need to speak out about war, understand about war, and only commit our service people to just wars. Now, if I could just follow up, I have to say that I am so excited that Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been repealed. Big supporter of it. I think it obviously is a onerous and unjust policy that had to be repealed, and its days clearly were numbered. But it is important to understand that transgender people still will not be allowed to serve in the military. And I have to say, it is always with some sadness that me and other transgender people like me are at events when people are talking about Don't Ask, Don't Tell and what it means, and people can now serve openly. I think we all get that. We believe that. We're all for it. But it is tempered for us knowing that transgender people still cannot serve. And there's no way to blame Congress for this now. It is now just policy. It is regulation and it is policy. It is not Congress that transgender people can't serve. And it must end. It is every single bit as outdated, as onerous, and as immoral as Don't Ask, Don't Tell was. There is no legitimate reason for transgender people not to serve in the military. More and more countries are recognizing that and instituting it, and we will too. But we have apparently made the decision as a country to go through the same nonsense we've just gone through with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal. Over the next couple of decades, we're going to have the same arguments, the same fight, the same BS rhetoric until transgender people are allowed to serve. From a good government point of view, it's exceptionally inefficient, but that's apparently what we've, as a country, decided to do. So we will be there. We will be there until this immoral policy excluding transgender people is also lifted. At the same time, we really do praise and laud and are happy that Don't Ask, Don't Tell will be repealed. But it is important we do that. We do have trans service people. There are more and more trans service people serving, and openly, and we've all have to come to deal with that. It's funny, Matt introduced me and said he was not as funny as I was, and clearly Matt has been much funnier than I today. But I just wanted to deliver those important messages. And again, first and foremost among those is just thank you so much to everybody who's serving veterans. It is really important to me personally. It is very important to our organization. It is very important to trans people and LGBT people, and should be important to all Americans. And I thank you for that and hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you.